Hey besties, virtual homegirls, and cousins of the internet. You've just tapped into Debriefing with D, where we don't just talk about it, we debrief it, break it all the way down, and get to the real tea. Respectfully. Today's topic is about how it can feel like the world only starts to applaud you when you're half of yourself. Like the smaller you become, the more visible you are. In so many communities, losing weight doesn't just change your body, it changes how people treat you. Suddenly things like love, respect, or even basic human dignity starts to feel like it only comes in the sizes from extra small to extra large. And unfortunately, where you land on that scale determines how the world views and treats you. This theory has only gotten louder as I've been watching a shift happen in real time. And in the middle of that shift, we see Lizzo, once a radiant force in body positivity, now re-emerging as a more palatable and smaller version of her older self. And needless to say, the internet wasted no time in sharing their thoughts on her body. Some praised her, some mocked her, and some accused her of betraying the very body positivity movement that she helped to carry. But if I'm being honest, I don't think that this is really about Lizzo. No, not really. Lizzo is just the surface. She's the byproduct of a deeper cultural conversation. This is really about all of us, our society, our unhealed wounds. It's about what it means to live in a body that's constantly being measured, sized up, picked apart, reduced, especially when that body is black, especially when that body is fat, and especially when that body belongs to a woman. Let's sit with that and let me bring this home. I used to weigh over 300 pounds. I know what it's like to live in a body that feels like a battleground, not just because of how the world sees you, but because of how you see yourself. I have no problem admitting the quiet truth. I was not overeating because I loved myself. I was overeating because I didn't know how to sit with myself. Because I was hurting, because I was grieving the loss of my mom, because I was trying to fill a hole that therapy could never reach fast enough and that nobody around me had the tools to help me understand. Because food didn't judge me, food didn't leave me, food didn't ask me to explain my sadness, it just comforted. Until it became the very thing that was slowly leading me to my demise and robbing me of my life. And I know I'm not the only one. You don't get to 400, 500, 600 pounds without some type of emotional trauma being buried underneath. And if you disagree, watch any episode of My 600-Pound Life or 1,000-Pound Sisters. You'll see a pattern: molestation, loss, abandonment, grief, abuse. And here's the hard truth. That pain doesn't usually come from strangers. It comes from the people closest to us. Family, friends, caretakers. The same ones who criticize your weight are often the same ones who contributed to the wounds that led you there. And they didn't just invent that behavior. They inherited it from someone else. It's generational. It's a cycle. And unless someone decides to break it, it keeps repeating. But back to my main point. If you can't access drugs, therapy, or a healthy outlet for that pain, food becomes the drug that you can access. And in a society where ultra-processed foods are the cheapest, fastest option, a society where it's also true that Black neighborhoods are plagued with food deserts, no fresh produce, no education about nutrition, and little to no access to preventative care, taking all of that into account, it's not hard to see how quickly food can become both the enemy and the friend. But listen, none of that is an excuse. I'm not here to make excuses for obesity because I've lived through it and I know firsthand just how dangerous it can be. I lost my mother when I was a little girl. She passed away due to complications related to her weight. And I'll never forget the day that I realized if she had been given the tools, the education, the emotional healing, she could have saved herself. She could have stayed here. She could have taught me how to love and care for myself in ways that I had to learn through pain. But I'm not here to dwell on the what ifs. I'm here to be the example that says if you don't change, you will lose your life too. I say this from experience. There is no amount of body positivity that can shield you from the long-term effects of neglecting your health. Because the truth is, self-love doesn't look like unchecked self-destruction. I didn't love myself when I was my heaviest. I tolerated myself. I survived myself. But when I looked in the mirror, I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel peace. I felt shame and resentment. And I had to be honest with myself about that before I could start healing. So this conversation is not just about body image. It's about emotional literacy. It's about generational trauma. It's about how, as Black women, we are taught to be strong, to be providers, to be resilient, but never how to be gentle with ourselves. Never how to rest, never how to feed our bodies with care instead of just calories. We are masculinized, overworked, undernourished, and we're raising children, carrying households, grieving silently, fighting to survive, and trying to heal trauma that didn't even start with us. So no wonder our health is suffering. We're too burdened to care for ourselves properly. But here's the hard truth. We still have to do the work. Because if we don't, who will? We already know the rules are different for us. And as a Black woman, we've already confirmed that we have to work 10 times harder for half of the credit. We are held to impossible standards in beauty, in health, in grace, in grief. But unfortunately, none of that absolves us from taking responsibility for our own healing. And let's not pretend that thinness means health either, so all the fat phobes can go ahead and exit the room now because Chadwick Boseman, Kim Porter, both thin, both beautiful, both taken too soon by health complications. So no, thin does not equal healthy, but neither does fatness equal love, because true love doesn't mean radical acceptance of habits that are slowly harming you. It means looking in the mirror and saying, I love you enough to not let you go out like this. So whether you're losing weight, gaining peace, or just trying to figure it out one day at a time, just know this. You are not alone. Your story isn't over, and your healing is worth the discomfort that it takes to begin. Here's your reminder that you are allowed to rest. You are allowed to nourish yourself. You are allowed to break cycles that your mother, your grandmother, and your aunties couldn't. And most importantly, you are capable of doing it. Because if it's one thing that I've been learning lately, it's that a soul that's willing to learn is a soul that will prosper. And that brings us back to Lizzo. Because your body doesn't need your shame. It needs your care. It needs your honesty. Because so many things at once are true. Yes, fatphobia is real. Yes, beauty standards are toxic. And yes, Lizzo was never truly embraced by mainstream media. She was tolerated until she was too much. She was doing the same thing as the other girls, but because she existed in a bigger body, she was told that she was too loud, too visible, too confident, too Black to be ignored, and too fat to be palatable. They used her body as a symbol of progress, but never really gave her the freedom to be more than a symbol. And now that she's visibly thinner, everyone's either really quiet or super critical, because we don't really want women to love themselves. We want them to stay marketable. And fatness, that's only marketable if it's funny, comically sexual, or profitable. If you look through the history of media, you'll see a reoccurring theme where bigger bodies were always the joke. They were the fetish. They were the ad campaign, but we are never actually the blueprint. I'll let y'all sit with those thoughts because that's it for today's video. I know there was a lot to unpack. Just make sure that you're doing your part to take care of your body because it is the only home that your spirit has. I want to thank each and every one of you lovely people for tuning in to Debriefing with D. I'll catch you guys in the next one where we keep it real, we keep it rooted, and we keep it radically honest. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave your comments down below because I would love to hear from you all. I'll see y'all on the next one. Love y'all. Bye.